Hello and welcome into Talk of the Town. I'm your host, Rich Reynolds. Lots of ground to cover on the program today, so sit back, relax. We'll cover a whole host of topics. As first, we are joined once again by a couple of familiar faces, as we have Irv and Jessica here from Wild. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, thanks for coming on in. So we've talked to you about so many things, I guess, so far. Whether it's been me or whether it's been Janet, whoever has talked to you so far. We're talking now today, I guess, mostly about the Department of Vocational Rehabilitation.
That's correct.
I have no idea what that is. What is the DVR? I know what a DVR is, but what is the DVR?
DVR is part of workforce development in the state, and it's their responsibility to service handicapped individuals that have lost their job or say they're trying to seek a new kind of job because they've been let go from a factory or something like that.
Okay.
So, and there's 8 different handicapping conditions that they cover. Right now, we'll be talking today about dyslexia and learning disabilities.
Okay, so helping handicapped individuals, you said it's their responsibility. What exactly are their responsibilities in helping?
Well, financially, if we have, say, a dyslexic person that is not employed, has lost their employment, what it's their job to do is to give them the funding to get them another job. So whatever that should entail, that's what they would be responsible for.
So now you said that there's 8 different handicaps. Which handicaps can actually apply for or through the DVR?
Well, there's cognitive disabilities, hearing impaired, visually impaired, those kind of handicap, those handicaps of paraplegics and so on and so forth.
Okay.
So it's either physical handicaps or those handicaps that you can't see, like dyslexia.
Absolutely. So now, is there like an age requirement that they have to be eligible?
It's actually gone a bit younger as of late. The DVR can actually work with high school students, so 16 and older, which is a way to kind of circumvent some issues and help them get on the right track before they even really get started.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely at that age, they're already looking for employment. Some families actually need them to get out there and be employed. So then now let's take it to the next step then. So how do you actually interact then with that agency?
We have clients that come to us that were in school before they got out of school, adults, that had IEPs or were labeled learning disabled while they were in school. So when they come to us, what I do is then our agency can identify that and then refer them on to DVR for funding to go through our program.
Okay, so now if you are dyslexic, what are the actual, I guess, the marching orders here? What process do you need to follow to be a part of it?
Basically, we can do an assessment through DVR. Once we refer to DVR, DVR can send them back, and we can do an assessment to find out where the IQ and the reading, spelling, written expression, and mathematic levels are. And then let DVR know how we can best help that person through a training program. And then usually they will fund that individual to come back to bring up their literacy skills so they can go on to other skill or other educational levels or into a job.
Okay, so now like some of that funding, when I used to manage a restaurant, I actually had a person who was mentally, I guess, disabled, and she would come in and roll silverware, but she had to have somebody that was with her that helped her all along. So is that what the funding would help with then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and DVR, through that scenario, DVR sets up that workplace and puts them through what they call the job experience. And they'll usually have a coach that they'll pay for to help that individual do that.
Excellent.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's the responsibility of DVR in that case.
Terrific program, yeah, and actually, I mean, something that, if you haven't found out anything about, check it out. Check this out as well. So I'm guessing there have to be stories that you have at least of helping people along and doing that. So, I mean, is there someone that sticks out, or a particular job that they're doing now?
It's very powerful working with DVR, and we also work with VA. But working with those older clients, I always find to be really meaningful because they are fully engaged. They really want to better themselves and their lives. So it's really powerful to work with them.
Absolutely. So good stuff. Irv, Jessica, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's nice to see you again.
Yeah, you too. We'll be right back with more Talk of the Town right here on CW57. Stick around. And back on Talk of the Town as we get a chance now to talk about a pretty interesting topic, and that's allergies, as we bring in Eric from the Medicine Shop Pharmacy over in Monona. And interesting to the point that some of them, sometimes they come and go. I used to have a maple pollen allergy, moved to Texas for a couple of years, came back to Wisconsin, it was gone, my allergy. So it's kind of weird how they can come and go. But in the spring months, it seems like, Eric, a lot of people are affected by allergies. What's causing all the sniffling going on right now?
Most times, especially in seasonal allergy situations, such as in the spring, you get the pollens from the trees that are budding, you get the ragweed, that type of stuff. All those pollens create an allergen that for certain people that have allergies, their body creates an immune response to that allergen being around, and it tries to attack it and get rid of it. And some of the ways it does that is the typical watery eyes, itchy eyes, the runny nose, the sore throat that kind of can go along with that, and even sometimes headache and things like that. So it's really just your body recognizing something that it thinks shouldn't be around and reacting, and sometimes overreacting to it.
And then it takes care of it in the worst possible way for you while you're at work.
It doesn't make you feel very good. Yes, absolutely.
No, not at all. So what options are there to treat those spring allergies?
There's a bunch of different options, and actually over the last couple of years, there's even more over-the-counter options than there ever used to be. You have your regular antihistamine tablets. Those would be things like Allegra, Claritin, or Zyrtec. Those are kind of the three common ones. There's also older ones such as Benadryl. But now there's even nasal sprays, and there's eye drops that are all available over the counter. In fact, there's not many that are prescription only anymore. Most of those have moved over the counter.
Yeah, and they used to be prescription. I know at first I tried Claritin. That didn't work for me. Zyrtec, tried that. Boom, worked like a charm. So how do we know which one's going to be the best for us?
There's certain populations that should, avoid certain medications. But there's a lot of people that, such as yourself, sometimes it's just trial and error, if you don't have that kind of caution to do. So the special populations that, I would probably steer in a certain direction. Some older folks probably shouldn't take anything that could possibly make them drowsy. That could lead to the risk of falls. Some other people that have high blood pressure probably shouldn't take anything with a decongestant in it, even though that you might have some of that congestion around for the allergies. And the reason for that, it can raise your blood pressure. So there's special populations that you should steer to, people towards certain ones over others. But for you, like you said, sometimes it's just unfortunately trial and error, see which one works for you, and that's a very common thing that happens.
Absolutely. Now, with all of these options that are out there, and the nasal sprays, and the eye drops, and the pills, are they all created equal?
Well, some have different, like I said, side effect profiles. Some have a little bit more of a tendency to cause some drowsiness in people. So again, if you're taking medications that can cause that, if you're elderly, I'll steer you in a different direction. But overall, their effectiveness for most people, unfortunately, like you said, you have some people that will respond fantastically to Claritin and not be able to take the Zyrtec because of the drowsiness or things like that. So are they created equal? Yeah, they kind of are, but still you can have individual patient differences that this one works better for me. For another patient, it might be the exact opposite.
Now, if I come into your pharmacy, are you guys well versed in that? Because it seems like otherwise there's a lot of reading of a lot of small letters to get through. So.
Absolutely. At the Medicine Shop, we are so happy to come out from behind the counter and educate patients. I always tell people that's what we went to school for. I didn't go to school to slap a label on a bottle and say, do you have any questions? I really went to school to learn about medications, to properly educate my patients on what they should take and help improve their healthcare quality of life. So we'd be more than happy to, you stop in to come out and spend some time with you with those products.
Now, what about some other options? I mean, some people just don't want to take another pill or put more medicine. Are there non-pharmaceutical options that are available?
There are. The biggest one that comes to mind is called a neti pot. And I don't know if the viewers know what that is, but basically it's a saline solution that you can pour through your sinus cavities. You pour it in one nostril and it flushes everything out. It's not the most pleasant thing in the world, but the nice thing is, like I said, it has absolutely no pharmaceutical ingredients. You're basically just flushing that out, and in turn, you're flushing not only the phlegm and that kind of stuff out, for lack of a better term, but you're also flushing out those allergens, so you can kind of wipe those from the system.
Not a lot of people having neti pot dates, right?
I think that's safe to say. Yes.
Something
yes.
you do on your own. So,
exactly.
Eric, thanks for joining us. Yeah,
Thank you.
very good information. So check it out at the Medicine Shop Pharmacy in Monona. We'll be back with more Talk of the Town right here on CW 57. Back on Talk of the Town as Marianne from Moving Forward is joining us now, and she's even brought some stuff with. It looks like we got beer, we got pills, like we're having a party. But no. We're going to get to all of that and what all of this stuff means as welcome in Marianne.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
now
for having
once
me.
again, for those that don't know, you're a senior move manager.
Exactly, yes.
What's a senior move manager?
Sure. So a senior move manager is basically somebody who has been trained through the National Association of Senior Move Managers. And that's just important to know because we all follow a real strict code of ethics. And also it means that if I'm moving somebody here from Madison to, say, somewhere in Minnesota, then I can call somebody else who's had the same training as I have to help unpack them and get them settled in their new home once I send them off here from Madison.
Okay, so what are some of the steps then you go through with families?
Sure. So basically what we do is we'll go and we'll meet a client and we'll kind of figure out what their situation is if they're moving from a house into an independent living community. And then first of all, we'll figure out what they want to take with them, and we go through a floor layout. We measure their furniture to make sure it will all fit in their new home. And then we just kind of go through the whole sorting process with them, and we pack up what they want to pack. And then we actually then, we help them move. We bring in movers and we move all their items to their new location. And then basically we get them all settled in, we do all the unpacking, we hang up the pictures, put up the shower curtain. So by the end of the move day, they're ready to live in their new apartment. And then typically we go back to the house and then we deal with the items that are in the house and we get the home ready to sell. So again, they have that closure and we just kind of help them move through that process.
Yeah, which I think is hard to do for a lot of people.
It
and
is.
you talk about going back to the house, dealing with some of the items that are in the house.
Correct,
So I'm
correct.
guessing that these are some of the items or types
Right.
of items that you end up finding.
Yes, absolutely.
Walk us through a little bit. What did you bring this for here? Why
Sure.
would you show this to us?
Well, it's really interesting when I'm talking with the clients, what's kind of keeping them from moving into a new community is just they have a house full of stuff and they look at it and they don't even know where to begin. They have just boxes and boxes of things everywhere. And so it's the stuff that kind of keeps them from moving on. And so what I thought I would do today is just kind of go through some items because people, they have no idea what I'm going to do with the stuff, and they tend to sometimes they'll rent a dumpster and just start throwing stuff away, which is really sad, and I encourage people not to do that. But they just don't know what to do with it, and they really want to move on. And they just need help getting through that step. And so what I brought today, do you want me to kind of show you
Yes,
some of this
please,
here?
yeah.
So basically, there are items that I brought today that some of them are really easy for me to get rid of, and some are not. And so, basically what we do is we bring in buyers who like to buy items from my clients. And so we have some things that are on the easy to dispose of list and others that are not. So just as an idea, a lot of people have books. We all have collections of books. And so I brought a couple of books just to show you. In most books, I have a book buyer who will just come and collect the books. Cookbooks are super easy for me to sell for my clients. So if you have cookbooks or any books, basically, I would take them and bring them to my book buyer, and they would pay my client accordingly. Other books, such as encyclopedias, are very hard to get rid of, and so those we would just recycle usually. So these are on the good list, easy to sell.
Especially when it's a cookbook with the Sopranos
Exactly,
on it. Yep.
exactly. And then other things, VHS tapes, people have no idea what to do with those, and basically it's hard to even donate them. So luckily we can donate them to some organizations like St. Vincent de Paul, but it's a really, really low market, and we're lucky to donate them for folks. We all have lovely china, around our homes, and that's a really tough one to get rid of, so I encourage people to give it to their grandchildren or somebody who maybe can use it, but there's almost no market for china, which is always a sad conversation to have. Jewelry, especially gold, silver, jewelry, and coins are really easy for us. We have a lot of buyers who'll come in, and again, they'll just pay my client for those items. And then a Boy Scout uniform, because that's actually an item that people love to buy, military items and Boy Scout uniforms, things that you would think that maybe nobody wants, are some of the hot items that I come across.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and then I just have a little shot glass there. Those are really tough to sell too, so those are on the hard to get rid of list. Usually they go to donations, so I encourage people to give those to family members if they can, because there's just not a really good market for most of them. There are some obviously exceptions.
Now you have some other things here. So say like a bottle of beer or a controlled substance.
Exactly.
So what do you do with
Sure.
that?
So alcohol is interesting because basically we cannot do anything with it. It just,
Right.
we can't, I mean, if if I had to get rid of it, I just have to pour it down the drain, which is really sad.
Yeah.
So it's something that the family members, we just encourage them to just give away. We can't sell it, we can't donate it, we can't do anything with it. So it's an item we just encourage families just to give to a neighbor or whatever they could do with it. Medicine, we always have a medicine drop for all of our clients. We bring it to the police station, so we'll take all old pills and we'll make sure they're disposed of correctly. And then we always have, everyone has a garage full of paint and clean, items that just need to be taken to clean sweep typically, and so we'll make sure those get to clean sweep, and so they're taken care of. So we just go, room by room, and we just have avenues for all kinds of items.
Always a lot to talk about. Check out Moving Forward. You can do that online. Marianne, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
We'll talk to you next time, and we'll have more right here on Talk of the Town.
Thank you.
And back on Talk of the Town, and I love talking with successful restaurateurs because I was an unsuccessful one. So it always makes it better when I can talk to people that have had some success in doing it. As we bring in Dan and Nancy, they're with the Old Feed Mill, and so welcome on in.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Welcome.
let's talk about the Old Feed Mill, a very unique building, very unique setting out in Mazo-Maning. Talk to us a little bit then why you decided to open up a restaurant and why you decided to open it there.
Well, you said it right there. It was the building itself, the history. It's an 1857 flouring mill, and it's just really amazing. There's so much history connected with it that we decided to take 4 years, restore the building, and open a restaurant so we could share that history with as many people as we could.
It's so much work to open up a restaurant. I can't imagine having to take that much time even to go through that process of, restoring an old building like that. So that had to really be something. So being an old flouring mill, there's nothing that's gluten-free then, right? Everything's got gluten in it.
Oh, we have some gluten-free, yes.
What are some of the things that you do to keep the history of the building that kind of reflects the history of it?
Well, number one, I said it was a flouring mill, so we actually grind our own wheat.
Oh,
We
wow.
get it locally from near Taliesin Estates. And we've been doing that. We have a stone grinder right on the site. So we've been doing that for since we opened 20 years ago. And so the bread is fresh and local. And we also use those wheat berries for instance, for our rice pilaf and salads that we have on the menu. So.
Very nice. And now when someone says, hey, we're going to the Old Feed Mill, what does that mean? What are you known for?
Probably best known for our pot roast, which has been featured in different media over the years. Also well known for the ambiance of the place. It was restored in accordance with what was originally there, and everything we do sort of reinforces so that when you come in, you feel you've stepped back into that era, and people tend to really relax in that kind of getaway environment, I guess you'd call it.
The setting of a restaurant, I think, is so important. I mean, so many people talk about why does a hot dog taste so good at the ballpark? It's because of the setting that you're in, And so having great setting, having a great ambiance, always great to have. So as far as the Old Feed Mill goes, what are some other things that make you kind of different and unique?
Well, the setting, of course.
Yeah.
And there's that we grind our own wheat.
Yeah.
But one of the things that is very unique about the restaurant that a lot of people not quite familiar with is we have ghosts. And on Halloween, we'll give ghosters. Are you surprised?
Yeah.
But they're extremely friendly.
Okay.
And,
Friendly ghosts like Casper.
That's correct.
Okay.
Actually, we have a woman ghost. So she, and she's been seen. I haven't seen her, but customers have seen her. And whether it's day or night, so she has been around.
So they've seen her and still come back to the restaurant.
That's correct.
The food must be really good. I think that's great. Do you have facilities then too for groups that might want to come out and not only experience your place but experience the ghosts?
We do. We actually have 2 rooms at the feed mill, each accommodate about 100 people.
Oh wow, that's big.
We specialize at the feed mill in a smaller weddings of 100 or less, but we also have a larger wedding barn about 5 miles from the mill, and that's called Sugarland, and then we can accommodate groups up to 300.
Wow, very impressive. Now, what are your hours? Are you open for Easter? What's going on with that?
Yeah, our hours were open. We will be starting our regular hours. We're serving dinner Tuesday through Sunday, starting at 4:30. Friday and Saturday we have lunch, and then Sunday we have a Sunday brunch. And that's what for Easter, we'll have a Sunday brunch, and that goes from 10 till 2:30.
Love the Easter brunch. Definitely something that you're going to want to check out. This is fascinating. I could talk about this, I think, all day, but we're out of time. Dan, Nancy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having
Yeah,
us.
you
Yeah,
bet. And
very
thank you
much.
so much for tuning in to Talk of the Town. We'll see you next time right here on CW57. Bye-bye.